Okay, good afternoon or good morning or good evening, all the audience around the world. Welcome to the 70th Asia Pacific Conference on Giftedness. And today, we are very pleased to have the first symposium, Invited Symposium 1. So you are in Invited Symposium 1. We are going to have 3 presenters in this section. And I am Yichun Zhang from the National Taiwan Normal University Department of Special Education. So in the first, we are going to invite Professor Usanee Anuruthwong, right, to do our first presenter. She's the one pioneer in the field of gifted education in Thailand. She has dedicated her life in the field of gifted and special education since the 1980s as a senior instructor, research counselor, author, and national committees. And also, she is a volunteer for various work on child development, children with special needs, as well as disadvantaged groups. She is the president of the Asian Pacific Federation on Giftedness and presently a chairperson of the Association of Developing Human Potential and Giftedness. Today, her topic will be twice exceptionality, and give us a brief introduction about what is twice exceptionality and start our first section. Let's welcome Dr. Usanee.
Thank you, Dr. John. In terms of twice exceptional may refer, we can define in different terms, but it can refer to intellectually gifted who also have one or more than one disability. Then in recent years, if you go through the research, you can see there are more research conducted in this area. And this is make me happy because it means that we have more understanding and awareness about how human beings learn.
Yes.
Because in a long time, twice exceptional or disability or other kind of disability will be labeled as something not in a gifted, in the field of gifted. But later on, we found that those children who have labeled as their disability, they have another, they have giftedness or high potential in themselves and came out very well after that. But not all of them have a chance to develop their talent inside. So that's why we have to reconsider about the way to identify children potential, not only the disability, and label them and send them like cut and paste and put in a school, special class for disability, things like that. And actually when I meet the children with the disability, it's very difficult for them to communicate. In case of children with communication, something that relate to communication, such as hard of hearing, deaf children, or blind.
Yes.
Because when for blind children, if you teach them a literature that the giant big like mountain, how they going to imagine how big the giant, or the bird, fly very high, very tall, high in the air. above the building. If you were blind, how could you imagine? So many literature have used like a visual imagination, but it is a problem to this kind of disability. So every kind of disability is impact on their cognitive style and or the deaf. If when you teach them about how beautiful of the poem, how can they know?
Yes.
There's no way to know about that. Even but if they were gifted in my country, especially former time, no, they usually been ignore their giftedness inside. So the problem, what I found is many the children with disability, they have few chance to be gifted because of the way we identify them, the way we diagnose them. We don't look at them as a whole picture. And in a case that I often found is if we meet highly gifted, we highlight their intelligence, but we often ignore their psychological effect. That's why there are syndromes that we often found from the highly gifted, such as loneliness, low self-esteem, perfectionist, and some of them come up with depressions and some of them even commit suicide. Yes. Because no one understands about their complicated structure of psychological pattern. Challenges. Their psychological needs. So I myself, when I meet any special children, I never see single type. I always see twice exceptional. Either you are gifted and have emotional needs, or you are blind and you are gifted too, and some of them are blind and also deaf. And in this case, it's more complicated because of you both deaf and blind, and usually people ignore your giftedness and focus on your weakness. So now I am appointed to be a chairperson for taking care of early childhood in Thailand for the children with special needs and disadvantaged children. So I propose to change the way to diagnose children. Usually when doctor or people diagnose or early detect children, and they just see what's wrong with them, and then they inform the parents that, oh, your child might be deaf, Your child might be autism. Your child might be low intelligence. I don't want to say like a mentally retarded. If I were, and we found that most of every parents will shock after they know that, oh, my kid, my beautiful kid, he is not normal. How I would cope, shock. And some of them keep their children at home, cannot go to see doctor because they cannot accept. So I propose to the government, from now on, we're going to change the way to early detect children. We have to detect their giftedness and their special needs. And then when you meet their parents, you inform them about a good quality first, and then gradually tell them that, but your child may need to improve hearing or improve this and that later on, but you have to inform them, find a good thing, find good thing from each child. This is my policy. So I hope in the near future in Thailand, they will do this in practice, because we had a meeting with the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Education, and Ministry of 4 ministries that take care of the early childhood. And I hope this will reduce a number of twice exceptional children. And I have been doing, taking care of gifted children for more than 40 years. I still think that we still at the beginning of the knowledge how we can provide them an appropriate education or the appropriate way to meet their needs as a whole picture, not only their disability or their giftedness. This is what I found. Yeah, you have.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. We still have about 5 minutes.
Oh, okay. I can talk for
forever.
Forever, because I have many cases.
Okay.
Yeah, for example, good example. One child came to me because he was labeled as a mentally retarded, and he was about to send it to mentally retarded school. And I interviewed his parents, and his parents said that when he was in only 1 or 2 years, when they went to shopping, the child gave her the sum of what she spent today, faster than the calculator.
Oh.
Yeah, and then I said, and I interviewed her, and then I saw the child. He was labeled as the hyperactivity, hyperactive child, autism child, and also the mentally retarded. And I said, at the first thing, no. But he looked like one, because he never look at your eyes, things like that. And hyperactivity, I said no, because he go and took a book, critical thinking exercise, very difficult for me, but easy for him. And he sat there for hours, and he was labeled as a hyperactive. Wrong. And doctor gave him medicine for 3 years already.
Wow. No good.
No good. And later on, I took him to have a brain mapping, diagnosed, and his right brain is 0,
Really?
but left brain is genius, very genius. And I highlight you are very good. You are very good in math, in language, in so and so, but you have something to improve. Don't go to the school for mentally retarded.
Yes.
And I put him to demonstration school in our university.
In a university?
Yes,
Wow.
yes.
Okay.
And now, he is a professor in German.
So now it's a professor?
Yes.
Just like us?
We found
Wow,
that.
great.
We found that 30-some years ago.
Okay.
We found that he is a Asperger syndrome.
Yes, yes,
That is still new at that time,
Yes.
30-some years.
yes.
Oh, I had 1,000 stories. I wrote a book about him.
Yeah,
Because
wow.
no one understood him
Mhm.
at that time. He looked like an idiot one, but he really smart. And he went into School of Engineer, Chulalongkorn University. It's
Yes.
the
Yes.
best one in Thailand.
Yes.
And then he graduated until doctoral degree,
Mhm.
and in German.
Church in German.
Yeah,
Okay.
this is example of twice, more
Wow.
than twice.
What a great example.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Let me take about 3 minutes to kind of summarize Dr. Usanee's speech and the experience she shared. In the very beginning, Dr. Usanee told us, kind of draw a good line about, in the past, maybe we focus too much on either disability or giftedness. For example, when we look at the students or children with a disability, we maybe focus only on their disability, maybe their vision impairment, hearing impairment. And we don't have really enough knowledge or focus on their communication skill, because they may not be able to communicate, and which maybe lead to we don't have the right way to assess their intelligence or how to educate them. That make us did not see the whole picture and really look at the kids and try to fix them. But actually, we are not fixing the problem because we just see a little corner or maybe a piece of puzzle on there. And also on the other way, when we look at the gifted students, and we really focus on their performance in the math, in the science, in the nature, or in linguistics. But maybe some kids with giftedness, they may have some psychological needs. Lots of kids may have a low self-esteem, they may have depression, they need lots of help, or they have some emotional needs for the people to guide them to think the right way. So I believe Usanee told us that when we look at the special children, always we only focus on only one part of them. We should see the whole person. We have a kind of step back a little bit to look at the whole person and start to think about, okay, what the way we can look at this population. And secondly, Dr. Usanee talked about maybe in the past we used to too much medical model to kind of normalize everyone. When we look at the medical doctor maybe diagnose a kid as autism, the deaf, or some mental retardation, but in her experience, she proposed another way to look at this idea. The other paradigm, or we say the point of view, we can look at the kids in the very beginning. We try to find out each kid's their strength, what they're really good at, and then also what they might need to help, or what their education approach we can help them to kind of help them the part of their weakness. And that's the right way to approach each kids, no matter the giftedness or the kids with the disabilities. And if we can do that, Usanee give us a very, very good example. When we see kids maybe look like a mental illness or mental retardation, but he or she may have a very good math ability or musical or anything. And we will, in the very beginning, we will share the idea with the parents or teachers about what they are really good at. And then we tell them maybe because they are vision impairment, because they're hearing impairment, we try to give them hearing aids or some other way help them to learn. And that's the right way to help those population. Actually, in the past, Usanee have lots of cases, and maybe need to take about 3 hours to share all the story now. And 1,000 cases, exactly. So that's a new way we approach. I believe Usanee is so humble, and not means that we are in this profession for 30, 40, 50 years. That means we know everything. We look like a judge of trial in this study. We need to re-examine us if we really think the right way or right point way. So we try the best we can be humble and to start to examine what we can do in this area. It's a relatively new area, really complicated, so we need to know about that. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for Usanee to share. And so do you have more 3,000 stories to share, everybody? No? We will take the whole afternoon now. No, not really, just kidding. So I believe that we have 2 professionals on site, online, and then now I'm going to introduce our second presenter.